Hi everyone, Vickieverlie here. Thank you so much for joining me for another spirituality and art video. Today we're going to be doing the companion video to my latest book, which is the Sigil Workbook, a comprehensive guidebook and journal, unlocking the fun and magic of sigil making. I don't have the physical copy in my hands yet because it's on its way, but I did want to get the video done to go along with the book when it comes out. But this is the cover of the book. And although the book will be available and you can find the link in the description, you do not need the book in order to do this class and in order to start creating sigils. I'm going to be going over the information in the book step by step, and you can be making sigils in no time at all. And sigils and ligatures, and also this can be a bridge to light language. The more intuitive you want to get with this, the more you can cross the bridge into maybe creating light language, if that interests you. Anybody can do this. There's no hard, fast rules. You don't need an art background. If you've ever doodled, you can make a sigil. Be free. Color outside the lines. The more intuitive you are, the cooler your sigil may end up being in the long run, and the more powerful and meaning it may have to you in the long run. Writing things down is a very powerful way to bring things out of your imaginal realm and into the 3D reality. Whether it's through sigils or journaling or anything where you're creating something out of nothing, apparently nothing, you're bringing it from a higher dimensional realm into a 3D reality, and it also is a way to ground your manifestation and your intentions into reality. I wanted to start with a little history. There's a man called Osmond Spare, and he is generally credited with creating sigils. When I looked into him, though, the thing that I found was he was really more, he was into metaphysics, he was into occultism, and he was actually even a contemporary of Aleister Crowley, which is kind of fascinating. But he was an artist too, and if you look at some of his ligatures, he would definitely kind of stack the letters on top of each other into making like one compact symbol. And this is very similar to the artist ligature. I myself have an artist ligature that I use all the time. It goes like this. I just noticed there's a little bit of water here. It goes like this. Or sometimes, I make it a little bit different ways, but that's basically my artist ligature, if you can see that. And, many of you are into tarot and mysticism would recognize this as the Wish card, Pamela Coleman Smith illustration. And if you look at the bottom corner of her cards, she also has her artist mark or her ligature. Basically what Osmond Spare was doing, he not only was he creating like an artist ligature that had power and meaning for manifestation, but he kind of changed the dynamics, because prior to that, sigils were used to contain demons or summon spirits, and there was kind of a lot of fear around it. And so he kind of flipped it around to, I'm going to be the creator of my own reality. I'm going to create it, and I'm going to manifest it through this imagery. So we're going to start with just one word, and we're going to go through the different processes that you can use. And later on, we are going to get into more about how you use phrases and things. So this is a sheet. I don't have the physical copy, so what I've done is printed out some of the sheets from the book. And this is one of the sheets in the book, using the word fun and using this very basic process that we just talked about. So as you can see, you start with the word fun, and then you just start playing with the letters in different ways. And then you start stacking them on top of each other until you kind of get into one sort of compact unit. And then you can even go back and kind of decorate it. So I'm going to put this aside, and we're going to do one live here. So we're going to do the same thing with the word fun. So we take the word fun, and you just play around with it. You can also put the F going backwards. You can do it like this. There's no hard and fast rules. You can play around with a lot of different things until you come up with something that you like. So in this case, I ended up doing the F with the U, and then the N is in there as well. And then if you refine that, it kind of comes out to be, something like this. And then you can go back in, and you can even make some lines and decorate. You can go outside of the thing and extend this a little bit outward, and maybe put something here. And, you can do dots around it. There's no limit to what you can do with it. Follow your own intuition, and the more you can kind of get out of the way and really just let your intuition, flow, sometimes that's the more you can get out of it. Okay, a second way you can do strictly working with only the shapes of the letters is this example here. So in the book, I do have each letter is broken down into a series of shapes, which I show here. We have F is a line like this, and then 2 lines like this. So F is like this, and like this, and like this. Those are the 3 shapes that are in the letter F. The letter U has a little bump and 2 longer lines, and it has a line like this, a line like this, and a line like this. So then you take these, you can eliminate the original letters. You take these shapes and you start playing around with the shapes. And in the book there is an example of all the letters broken down, but anybody can do that. It's just a matter of what lines you're drawing. So here's an example of one that I did with using the 3-letter word fun. And I played around and played around. As you can see in the illustration here, this isn't even, here's that little lump thing, but I've turned it in a different way. I've used this diagonal line of the N here, and so you don't have to use it even like straight up and down the way it is. You can turn it different ways. And then I was experimenting around with a bunch of different colors, turning it in different directions, the frontwards, sideways, up and down. I actually do have because that's what gave me the idea to do a workbook, because I was using these sheets that I created and I was printing them out, but then I had this separate little sketchbook area that I was using. It's just like, well, this needs to be all in one package. So that's when I came up with the idea of putting the workbook together. But here, I have the original thing that I did with the fun. So here's that first one that I show in the book. But if you can see, I was trying a lot of different kinds of shapes and different kinds of, this is getting down to where I came up with what I ended up using. But there's a lot of different ones I was trying, just using those different shapes, putting them together in different ways. It's not like you're necessarily going to take a quantum leap, it's not like I went from these lines and then I jumped, straight into this finished shape, it was a process and it took a little while. And, but it's fun doing the process. And within the process, within the steps, there's other ones in here that I like, and I might even use some of these in a future piece of art, which I definitely have done in the past. And then this is me like turned that same shape, and I was trying different things, putting the little balls, and then, trying different things with like putting light around it and various things. So, that is one way, well, 2 ways actually, that you can work with just, let me move this tablet out of the way. You can work with just the shapes of the letters. You can use the whole letters as the first example, and then you can just break it down into, these various shapes that I've shown you additionally. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. There's other tools that you can use, and these are the templates that you'll find in the book. These are the template pages. I actually have one here, a blank one. So I have these blank template pages, and these are various ways that you can do like kind of a workout to get it done. So after we go through a lot of explanation, it's a reference book too. The first 20 or so pages are reference material. And then it's a template, and then you've got a few blank pages where you can do precisely what I was just showing you a few minutes ago. Okay, so I've done it. I've continued the theme with the word fun. I'm going to continue that theme. And there's a couple ways you can do it. This first thing, these are 2 wheels using all the letters of the alphabet. So these are in the templates, of course, but you don't need to have the templates. You can draw these up real quick. You just do like a circle, and then this one is just A, B, C, D. You just write the letters all the way, going all the way around. And then this one is a little different. It starts with A through M around this thing, and then N through U, and then the last few in the middle. Now you can find these online. I drew these myself for the book, but there's versions of these online, and sometimes they're even called a witch's wheel. So you can find the stuff online. Even if you decide you don't want to have the workbook, you can still proceed. So I went ahead, and this is the same thing as before, where we're using that fun. Of course, because fun is only in this instance, so what you do is just draw a line. So F-U-N, and then you get a shape like this. And then over here, same thing, F-U-N, and you get a shape like this. So both of these shapes, I'm going to draw them over again here, are very similar, but that's because there's just 3 letters. When you get more letters, you get more, directional things that are going on and more visual interest. So with these 2 things, so this is just the first step, and with these starting points, here's another page from the book that I go through it. So here's these first 2 things that we just did, but you can curve it and try different curvy ways, and then you can try different line widths, and then you could start adding some curly things and dots and lines. So let's do a little playing with that over here. So here we have, we did this, and then I did this curvy thing around. I like that. And then maybe I always like putting these little dots around my curly things sometimes, and maybe some lines sticking out. You could put something up here, a triangle, and some kind of other lines. Play around with it and get a lot of versions of it. And that's how you can, just like I showed you with that the other fun thing, how many versions I did with it, using the journaling pages or a separate journal of your own. Now here's another thing you might want to incorporate. Many people always feel like you have to put something around it to sort of seal it in. And different things, I was using this example of the house. So say you're wanting to, manifest a house, you might put a house, or you might even just incorporate that house shape, in the sigil itself. You can just do that, or if you're looking for love, of course, you might want to try to put it around with some love stuff inside of a heart, or again, incorporate, little heart symbols in the design itself. So you're not limited to only using the shapes of the letters. Absolutely add symbols. If you're trying to manifest money, you might want to use a dollar sign, or you might want to incorporate a pentacle, because that represents money in the tarot. So there's a lot of different things that you can incorporate. In the book, I actually do, I do include several sheets of some symbols, some astrology symbols I have in the book, and just some other common symbols, and then there's space for you to write in some of the symbols that you may come up with on your own, or that that relate to you. A great place to find symbols is emojis. I mean, symbols and emojis kind of are basically the same thing. Okay, before we move on to numerology, I wanted to tell you some more things. So this is me using these wheels, and here's another thing. You can use these more than once, and in this case I did. I used it once with green and once with red colored pencil. Okay, so this is pretty amazing. I'm going to pull out my notebook over here again. I'm going to show you the process of how I went from these squibbly lines to this final piece, if you can believe that. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how I got from point A to point B, because I have it all written out, because I saved it. So here's what we did. I did several different versions. I actually did a numerology one too. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So you can do it with numbers. I'll show you how to do that next. But I wanted to just show the process real quick. So the 2 words I used was love, and then I used a full sentence of I am loved, which we're going to get into that too. So I tried a bunch of different methods. That's how you can really get there and do it. And out of this, I really liked this one because it kind of looked like a butterfly. And then I also was liking some of these, and this one in particular. So I started with this butterfly-looking shape. And I hope you can see the journal. I think you can see it pretty good, yeah. So I copied, that's this same thing. I copied it from here. And I said, well, let me start a page. And I started messing around, and I was kind of like, well, it looks like a butterfly. And then I was looking at these, and this one particularly caught my eye because it reminded me kind of like a signature or something. And so from here, from this green, I went to, you can see from this, I went to here. This was the first leap of this, from that initial thing, then I went to this. And then I just kept doing it, a whole bunch of different ways, embellishing it more and more. On this page, I was kind of incorporating both of them. If you can notice, it's kind of got a little bit of the butterfly wings, but some of this squiggly stuff. And then there's a few things on here, particularly this one, that I really like, and I may use later in a painting or something else. And then so I did a whole nother page of more and more of that, and then I even started putting little hearts in there. I don't know if you can see, there's like little hearts. Let me hold this up really close so you can see. I started putting like little hearts in there because I'm loved. And so then I did another page, and it started kind of evolving here. You know, it was still evolving. I'm still using the hearts. So it's evolving more and more and more and more. So I'm doing a whole nother page of them, and then I came up, this is where I made that leap from to this. And I really hope you can see clearly. There we go. I really, really liked this because it reminded me of kind of like a bee or a butterfly or some kind of an insect or a hummingbird. And I really, really, it resonated with me. So that's why sometimes you can do a lot of pages. And then I played with it a little more and it came up to this. So that's how you can come from this to this. Pretty amazing, right? So you'll get there too. Don't look at this and think, oh, I can never do this. You absolutely can do this. Anybody can do this. So I did jump the gun a little bit because next we want to talk about the numerology part of it because that's definitely a thing. And this is going to be on your template pages. There is a numerology on every template page. There's a numerology graph. This is also something you can find online or make yourself. Again, don't have to have the book necessarily. But what it is, it's just 1 through 9 and then the alphabet. So you find the letter and then you follow it up and that's how you get the numbers. So F is 6, U is 3, and then N is 5. So we got 6, 3, 5. That's the numbers that correspond to. We're going to stay with that fun for now, the 3-letter word of fun. So now we get into these. I did jump the gun a little bit, but we get into the numerology, and it's kind of the same thing as the wheel with the lettering going around, only this time it's numbers. And you can do it 0 through 9, which will give you 10 slots, or you can do it 1 through 9 with no 0, and that'll give you 9 slots. There's one of each on every template. There's an 8 and a 9. Also, you can do the numbering, vary the numbering in a lot of different ways. So you can have, let me bring this up here so we can point a little better. On this one, I started at the top, and I went 1 through 9 in a clockwise direction. On this one, I started over to the left, like an astrology wheel, and I went 1 through 9 in a counterclockwise direction. But you don't even have to do clockwise and counterclockwise. You could even roll dice and place the numbers around the dice. There's a lot of different ways. There's also, using numbers, another technique is called the magic square or the square of Saturn. So this is a magic square because it adds up to the same number in every direction. In this case, it always adds up to 15. And then on the sheet, what I have is a blank, also a blank one. So you can fill in the numbers the way you want. I did this one just straight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, this is something that is very easy. You don't have to. You can find it online, but you can also draw it within a couple seconds and put it in there. And so then what we have is these kind of like similar shapes like that. But that's again because we're only using a 3-word example. But numerology absolutely incorporated it, and we go over that, and you can do that on your own. You can find that numerology thing. Okay, so now if you want to do, many people will do a longer word, and that's kind of the way most people do it. You use a statement, an affirmation or a statement, and it's stating what you would like to attract. You want to make sure that it's in first person. You don't want to say it in I wish or someday. It's right here, right now, present tense, first person. You might want to say something like, I am creating blank. I am manifesting blank. I am attracting blank. I feel happy, loved. I am experiencing joy, whatever you want to put. The mission statements can be really long and contain a lot of letters. So that's where you can kind of get a little bit tricky here. So when you have a lot of letters, you definitely have to shorten it. So a really common way to shorten it is just to take out all the vowels. But here's the thing, when you take out all the vowels, like if you're saying I am I use this example, I am, it's really long. I am in a loving, supportive, I can't even fit it on the page, so it's not going to fit in the sigil, relationship. Okay? So this is, because this is, doing the readings, I know this is a common thing that many people are wanting to attract. Before we do anything though, this I am, if you take out the vowels, you're taking out the I am, and I feel really strongly that the I am has to stay. So you can take out the remaining vowels, and see what you have left, but I would always leave that I am in. I see other people doing sigils, like, yeah, you take out the vowels and the first thing they're doing is crossing out I am. And the I am mighty presence is a really, really powerful thing that I think absolutely needs to stay in for your manifestation. But, you know, do what you want, but I would, if you're going to take out the vowels, I would at least leave the I am in. So I did the example here. I took out the I am of that statement, and then you have a lot of letters still. You have a lot of letters. So the next thing you can do is take out all the double letters, you know, because you don't need them twice. So there's 2 N's, there's 2, you know, so we cross out the ones that are not needed, the extra letters. But even then, in this case, you're left with a lot. You're left with like 12 letters, and that's kind of pretty long. That's pretty long. Probably 12 is probably maybe too long for a sigil, 12 letters. So another thing you can do is do an acronym. The most common way to do an acronym is just take the first letter of each one. I, A, E, A, L. So if you do it that way, we have I, A, S, and R. Well, in this case, we also have double letters. We have a double A and a double I, so we'll take that out. That leaves us with I, A, L, S, R, which is 5 letters, and 5 is a really nice, you know, number to do. 5, you'll come up, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, you can come up with some cool shapes using 5s. You know, I didn't do those letters necessarily. Now with acronyms, the other thing about the acronym is that some of them, it doesn't have to be just the first letters of the name. Something that you like. One I was thinking of is slow-mo for slow motion, or SoCal for Southern California. Now these are acronyms, but they're not using just the first letter of the name. But everybody knows that, you know, slow-mo is slow motion, SoCal is Southern California. So you could do it like that. Like a lot of times, if I'm going to do something with love, I like to put that V in there, LV. You know, I love myself. I might do something like that. So myself. You know, that would just be me. This is the part where you can get really intuitive and creative. And using these different combinations also is going to give you the different designs when you go into the templates and you start, you know, messing around with the templates and, you know, trying different ways to do it. Like I said before, like on those templates, you can do a straight line, you know, say this is your shape, or you can do it like this and add some curve to it. Also, when you're doing the lettering, you may want to put some of the cursive lettering in there too. You know, so like a cursive V would be like this, rather than just always really hard straight lines, you know. Get that flow and get that cursive in there. So you might, like this could be a kind of a cool, like I like the way that lowercase v is really vibing with me, so you like this, and then you could put the O in here, and you know, maybe we can get that L in there somewhere like that, you know, and then you could fill it in with some more, you know, decorations and different things, you know. But it's kind of like doodling, and the more you can really get your conscious mind out of the way and just make it sort of like a doodle, the more, you know, the more cooler it can probably be in the long run. All right, so now you've got your sigils. What are you going to do with it? Well, most people would say that you have to destroy it. That's a really common thing, like you got to destroy it to release the magic. And you could just draw it on a paper and destroy it if you want. I like to have a record of mine. As you can see, I have them in here. I refer back to them. I might use some in the earlier stages and develop them off in a different way. So these are some that I did before, and they kind of have like this light language vibe to them, and other people have said so as well. So this is where I just kept using them, and I have a record of them because I want to, you know, keep using them for, and I've used these were actually made it into one of my paintings. And with me too, that I've made a painting out of one of the sigils, and that is actually turned into, that is what the cover of the book is. It is a painting of a sigil that I did, and then it made it, you know, now I have it as the cover of the book. Here it is again, you know. So this was a sigil that I drew, and then I turned around and I did make it into a painting, and then I made it into the cover of my book, because I feel a lot of times, you know, that there's power in it. And if you keep looking at it, it keeps resonating. It's like a reminder to your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious mind knows what it's embodied with. Even if the form is way different, it doesn't look like it says fun anymore or whatever, your subconscious mind really knows that that's what it actually means, okay? Another way that people can use them is you can just write them out somewhere, like go to a beach or something and write them in the sand when they'll be, washed away. You could do it in the steam, in the mirror, in the bathtub. If you got steam, you could write it on the thing. I feel like drawing them over and over again is like a constant reminder and keeps cementing it into the 3D reality. Another way that you can do it, a lot of people do, is with food. So what we can do is you can use food and anything that you can drizzle. You can squeeze. You can drizzle honey or pancake syrup or any condiment really, like mustard, ketchup, mayo, anything that comes in a squeeze. You can kind of put it on your food or in your drink. And then when you ingest it, it actually becomes a part of your physical body. And so you're really talking about bringing it really into the 3D reality. There's many, many ways that sigils can be used, and it's always evolving. Look how much it's evolved in the last 100 years since the time of, Austin Spear. So it's going to keep evolving as we keep evolving. And I feel like the next step really is light language. And I do feel like this piece here is also light language too. So the more you can kind of get out of the way, allow your subconscious mind to come through, the more you can really step into the realm of light language, if that's your interest. If you're purely doing it for manifestation, it's a lot of fun. Doing sigils is really, really fun. And I'll tell you another thing, it's addicting, I started just messing around with them, and I'm doing them like crazy, and I just, I love doing it. And it's fun. You can use it in other things, all the things that we've mentioned. So if you had an interest in learning sigils, I hope that this video was very useful for you on your journey of sigil making and becoming a sigil maker. And if you want to pick up a book, again, the description is in the description of the video, the link to the Amazon link. Thank you so much for joining in today. Remember that you are love and beauty incarnate. Start making those sigils and manifesting your reality. Talk to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.